Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast, where we celebrate the grit, grace, and growth of champion athletes and coaches pushing their limits and living with purpose. I'm your host, Kelly Pallas, and today I'm thrilled to welcome someone who embodies the spirit of transformation and tenacity. Jennifer Comfort is a USAT-certified triathlon coach, endurance athlete, and open water swim observer whose story is both powerful and inspiring. She's competed in multiple Ironman and 70.3 races, qualified for the Boston Marathon, and now guides athletes of all levels through the sport she loves. Based in the Great Northwest, Washington's Tri-Cities region, Jennifer not only coaches open water groups in the Columbia River, but also serves as an official observer for some of the longest, most daring swims in the world. Her journey from struggle to strength is a masterclass in resilience, and I can't wait for you to hear it. Jennifer Comfort, welcome to Champions Mojo.
Kelly, thanks so much for having me today.
Yes, I'm very excited because I know that a lot of our listeners are swimmers who do open water. They may have dabbled with the idea of doing a triathlon, A, for the first time, or B, maybe doing it again. I'm one of those master swimmers who was a triathlete back in the day, I'll say. And I haven't done one in a while, so maybe I want to get back into that. But I want to talk with you about your triathlon coaching, and I'm so interested in this open water swimming observer. That's really cool. And just generally how a champion like you, someone that's a successful entrepreneur and really out there as an athlete. So just tell us, like, right now, what is the top thing that you're doing in your life?
Coaching. And I train a little bit myself because I love training, but I am mostly coaching. I would say what I'm loving right now so much is our weekly open water swims. I call them Open Water Wednesdays. I've wanted to do it for years. And finally this year, every Wednesday evening, we have a group. I'm up on my paddle board and we head out into the Columbia River. It's a very large river. And each week I have different workouts for the athletes. And last night, actually, finally, we got some calm waters. We've had it's down here in southeastern Washington. It can get very windy. We've dealt with whitecap, current, all of the wonderful open water swimming elements these athletes get exposed to
So
every single week.
that is great. What does an open water river workout look like?
Sure. So we've done everything from, for example, race takeouts. So starting out super fast, like we all do and often do in open water races, or even in pool swims too, racing in the pool, elevating the heart rate on purpose, and then settling into it. We've also done drafting practice where we'll pace lines. We've done some technique work. I've even had the athletes do some drill, practicing different types of breathing, whether it's unilateral or bilateral. We practice our sighting, which is a very important skill to have in the open water. I'm sure all your listeners that are open water swimmers know how easy it is to get off track without sighting very frequently. So, but again, it's a skill. And so we practice those things.
Yeah. So what is the range of athlete that's in that group?
Oh, we have everything from beginners. The first week we had a lady walk in, get ready to swim, and walked right back to the shore and just observed. She was not ready that day. To athletes that they could vie for world championship slot in triathlon.
Wow. How do you manage that wide range of swimmer?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, I just employed somebody else to come help me out. After a few weeks of managing it by myself, I was like, oh, I need some help, I think. We
Yeah.
also have another thing I do, which is so wonderful, the area where we swim. There's two different docks. I call it the blue dock and the old dock. And it's 100 meters in the river. And so we do what I call dock laps, swimming back and forth, 100-meter repeat between these two docks. And so that's a good way to keep athletes together that are from different abilities and also get the open water exposure.
So I love that this interview with you is coming on the heels of Matt Mosley, who his podcast, he's a river swimmer. He swam the Colorado River. He does river conservation. Like he thinks it's so important that swimmers get in real water. I'm kind of a pool swimmer. I've done a lot of open water too, but tell us what you are seeing as someone that's in the river, that you're in the Columbia River. What is that river like these days? The clarity of it, the cleanliness of it, the temperature of it. Just kind of give us a river report.
Oh, it's such a good question because it's so dynamic. When we started out, the temperature, for example, was in the upper 50s, 57, 58. It's in the upper 60s now, 66, 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Everybody's wearing wetsuits. Oh, there's a couple of people that aren't wearing wetsuits, but the majority do wear full wetsuits. And so that's just in a matter of a month and a half. It's a desert here, so it's warm, it's hot here. So the river does warm up. We have wind, so the athletes are dealing with wind oftentimes. As far as the quality of the water, right now it's okay. We do have problems with toxic algae blooms. And so I'm on the health department website daily checking if there's any new updates so I can make sure that the swimmers are staying safe out there in the water. That toxic algae is very dangerous, especially for animals and smaller dogs that are on the shoreline, and you can pretty much see it. If I ever saw it, obviously we would call it a day and not go out, but because the river's flowing, so it's so dynamic and it changes every single day.
What does a toxic algae bloom look like to you if you come upon it?
It's green, it's shiny, it's at the surface of the water, and it's usually more in black water. So where we swim, the water's flowing, so I have confidence that it's safe.
And it's unmistakable.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So your day job is coaching?
Full time, yes.
And how do you fit your own training in?
That's it just kind of depends what I'm training for or if I'm training for anything. Right now, I'm really into strength training personally. So my strength training comes first. I am also going to be doing the 70.3 Ironman that's in our city in September. It's the second year we're having it. So I am doing quite a bit of running and biking and swimming as well myself. I fit it in. I used to be I know early mornings are the best, and I did master swim for 15 years, waking up at 4:30, 3 to 4 times a week. Once 2020 hit and the pools shut down, I haven't gone back to that routine. I found out that I like to sleep. And so oftentimes I do noontime swims from where I work. There's a wonderful outdoor pool 3 minutes away from where I am. And then my bike rides and runs they're usually in the afternoons or evenings. I just find that works for me personally right now.
So translate for us people who did triathlons back in the day. Now they call triathlon 70.3 or whatever. I think I knew them as Sprint International and Ironman. Well,
Sure.
what are the distances? What does 70.3 mean to people that may not be as hip?
So for triathlon, there's 4 different distances. There's what we call them now a sprint, an Olympic, a 70.3, which is a half Ironman, and then a 140.6, which is a full Ironman. So a 70.3, aka half Ironman distance, is a 1.2 mile swim, a 56-mile bike, and then a half marathon, 13.1 miles.
So isn't the Olympic swim a mile?
0.9, yes.
So they only add 0.3 to the swim and then double the bike and double the run?
You got it. I don't know why, but you're exactly right. Yes.
Yeah, so that's why I got out of triathlons. It's just not fair, but to the swimmer.
No, you're exactly right.
So in that vein, if we do have people that are just swimmers or they're new, what is your avenue? What race would you tell them to get, and what would you tell someone that really wants to just try a triathlon?
Sure. Well, I would recommend first hiring a coach. That's what I did. I mean, honestly, I don't say that just because I'm a coach. The very first triathlon I did, I thought I knew how to swim. I had grown up with backyard pools. I did not know how to swim for racing. I doggy paddled. I hired a swim coach the next week. That was 20 years ago. So I would recommend hiring a coach to get technique down. I would recommend once you feel comfortable getting into a master's program, they're just invaluable to on so many different levels, from progressing to being challenged. And as I'm sure all your listeners know, swimming with people that are faster than you make you faster, help make you faster. And just the social aspect of a master's community. I would also say definitely you have to get into the open water because it's like I mentioned before, it's so dynamic. It's so different from pool swimming. And then a sprint triathlon, which is the shortest distance, would be the place where I would start and just kind of get your toes wet, no pun intended, and see how you like it, or what you learned from it. Be curious about it. And what did you learn? What scared you? What made you grow as an athlete? What did you do well? And what would you maybe like to do differently the next time?
So I definitely agree with you that people who do not have a swimming background or feel like their mind just says, "What is a master swimming program?" They might not
Mhm.
even know that.
Sure.
But I do agree when you go to a master swimming practice, just like you described in your river workout, you're going to have people that are elite world record holding master swimmers, and then you're going to have people that are really new. And I love
Mm.
the master swimming program in Melbourne, Florida, which I've been a member of for many years. We have guppies, we call them the guppies and the mahis. And the guppies love being called guppies. They're brand new. And so sometimes the guppies come in and they need coaching. So I totally agree that swimming is the scariest part of a triathlon. We can all pretty much ride a bike or run, and you can even
Mhm.
walk.
Yes, yes.
So the swimming part is especially open water, the mass start. So I totally agree. Get a swim coach and then get into a master's program if you have one near you. And then I'd love your coaching and your ideas on if somebody's doing their first triathlon, do you just say just get through it? Like what do you recommend on equipment? Because that is an overwhelming part of triathlon, I think, for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Tri gear can add up and flat out be expensive, pricey. Yes, your first triathlon, ride anything. I borrowed a bike from my parents' garage. It literally was like a leisure bike. It wasn't even a true mountain bike. I wore a water skiing wetsuit. I did not have even a triathlon quote unquote wetsuit. I probably would have been better off not wearing anything because those type of water skiing wetsuits that there's no buoyancy to them whatsoever. So yeah, comparison is the thief of joy. So you show up at a race or training, and if you're just starting out, use what you have, or there's no reason to invest in the pricey equipment until you know that it's something that you actually like to
I
do.
love
Yeah.
that. I Comparison is the thief of joy is one of my favorite sayings. It's
Yeah.
such a great way to live your life. Tell us about your very first triathlon.
Oh,
We
gosh.
we love stories. Our listeners love stories. Give us the Jennifer, and I want the details of what was a success and what was a disaster because we all have them on our first triathlon.
Well, actually, I'm so happy that you asked me that because just 5 days ago was the anniversary of my 20th triathlon, my 20th year doing triathlon. So I did the race that I started with 20 years ago. And
Oh, how
it was on my birthday, and they sang happy birthday to me, and I started crying before the race. It was just so special to be in the same place where I'd been 2 decades ago, scared and nervous. And mind you, 5 days ago, I was still very nervous, but as I am before every race. But 20 years ago in this race, it's a local mountain bike sprint triathlon. So it's in the Columbia River, and it's a half-mile swim downriver. I never put my face in the water once. I was terrified. I
oh, I
I
love that.
I
You never put your face in the water.
no, no, my first triathlon, my face did
Were you
not
wearing
go in.
goggles?
Oh, yes, I was wearing goggles, but I might as well not have been wearing goggles. I never used them. I was so scared, and I'd been out in the river a couple times before, and I was very nervous, which I know a lot of people are in open water. It's not uncommon, and I wasn't immune to that anxiety either. I got out of the river. I got onto my whatever this bike was. I got out of my parents' garage. It was a piece of work, probably weighed 120 pounds. And I went and rode it and went through the trails. The chain fell off. It's like a disaster. And then I get in and then I go on. The run was, I'm more from a running background. So the 5 kilometer run, 3 miles, it wasn't too bad. But coming off of a bike, there's jelly legs. And I actually was so proud of myself. And I probably looked so silly. And I saw a group of people over, the real triathletes over on the other side of the awards. And I was like, I want to be like them. And they ended up becoming my very best friends in my community. And so that was the start of it.
Oh, that's a great origin story of you and triathlon. So what is this passion that I've in my research on you? It's just you just love triathlon and you want to share it with everyone. What do you think is the reason that people need to do triathlons?
Well, it's just so dynamic. It's a lot to juggle, and I do realize that, of course, and we all have busy lives and families and careers, but at the same time, there's always something new and fresh. Each day you're doing a different type of workout, a different style of workout. I think for me, it just keeps exercising and being healthy so dynamic.
So at what point did you really start getting serious? Like after 2 years, 5 years?
I seem to escalate things really quickly, but I went all in. That being said, I didn't make it into my first 70.3 half Iron World Championship qualification for 10 years. So so it did not happen overnight by any means. I just kept, in hindsight, I guess I did have some patience, but I went all in and trained and just really embraced the lifestyle and the community. And those became my training partners became my best friends. And it's kind of what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely had the triathlon bug when I had it. And
Hmm.
it's really fun when you get it and you can do it and you're in the best shape of your life. So, what good comeback stories do you have? Like, has there been a time that, you were injured or sick or whatever that you really just thought, oh gosh, I'm down and out, and then you came back?
Yes, I was just going to mention that because I feel like I'm painting this rosy picture of triathlon life, and it's not always that pretty by any means. I have had name an injury, and I've probably had it. When I say I jumped all in and it became a lifestyle, it also, in hindsight, I was overtraining. I wasn't sleeping enough. I had 3 very, very young kids that I was taking care of full time. So I would say I had piriformis issues for 2 to 3 years. I think my worst injury was my plantar fasciitis in my left foot. I ended up having a platelet-rich plasma procedure done on it, wore a boot and was in crutches for weeks on end. That was my lowest point then when I was sitting on a couch. I need to be outside and active, and as many listeners can probably relate with injuries, I just felt like a caged animal. And I think not only just physically recovering, but mentally, it was very difficult for me, but I survived.
So it's more of a like 2 steps backward, 1 step forward type comeback, like, "Oh, no, I'm down again with piriformis injury, and oh, now I have plantar fasciitis," and then you just keep going
Mhm,
back. Yeah, boy,
mhm.
that's definitely I'm sure a lot of our listeners can relate to that. And this is where you can throw in your thoughts on this. I feel like that's one of the beauties of being a 3-sport athlete, that when I have a lower body injury, boy, I get to swim. And when, oh, I can't swim, I've done something to my neck or my shoulders, well, I can go run or walk or cycling. You can kind of always do cycling, I think, unless, well,
Mm, mhm.
but you've
Yeah.
got that option.
Yes, absolutely. When I wasn't able to run, I was in the pool 5, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
You're way too young for this, but I remember back, and this was in the maybe, I'm going to say the early 90s when Lisa Leidy was a pro triathlete and she broke her neck in a cycling accident,
Yeah.
and she was swimming. She could not turn her head, and I think she was in a neck collar, but she kept swimming
Oh,
by doing no flip turns and just doing 25s. I mean, she
oh
was
my gosh.
committed to not getting out of shape. So I
Uh-huh.
I hope nobody goes that far as an injury. But yeah, you can really do things that keep you going. Let's transition to your coaching. And then at some point, you obviously become certified to observe open water swimmers, which is really interesting
Mhm.
to a lot of our listeners because I've always had in the back of my mind, maybe one day I'll swim the English Channel, but now I'm not going to do that after I interviewed Matt Mosley. And that's a spoiler. You have to listen to
Yes.
Matt's interview, which is right before this one where he talks about why he doesn't want to swim the English Channel, and he makes such a great point. So, but
Mhm.
I know when you do these big swims, you you need observers. And so
Mhm.
let's tell us how you got into coaching and then how you got into observing and what those are.
Sure. So I got into coaching in 2015. I was at a point in my life where I had been racing for so long and I was ready to get back to the community. And it was just kind of, it was for me, it was a natural progression. I come from a long line of educators in my family, and I really think coaching is just educating others. So I became certified. When I got in for open water observing, it really was from a fellow swimmer, one of my friends, and he just reached out and he had these ideas of what he wanted to do, and they have to be these huge swims have to be observed, and I honestly, at that point, I had never done it before, and the first one I did was in 2020 and August of that year, and I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll observe you," and but I had to there was a bit of a learning curve, and it's been just absolute honor to witness. Specifically, Ned Hastings did the Hanford National Reach, 33.5 miles in the Columbia River, downriver, in 7 hours, a little over 7 hours, and that was August of 2020, which we all know nothing really was going on then in the world, so it was a good time to be outside, be in a river, and so that's where I got my start.
So, what are you observing? Like, is it that they can't touch the boat, that they have to like tell us like what is an observer doing? And I know one of them you observed was like 50 miles, right? So that's a
Yes.
lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot of time standing
It
around and checking boxes. What are you
yes.
doing?
It's a lot, all of the above.
Okay.
It's and so for me as the coach or anybody, it's very mentally engaging. I mean, I have to be on my game. We're monitoring. There's you have to know the rules first of all. Whether no touching the boat, it's being up to date on all the rules. It's being keeping the athlete healthy, fueled, and hydrated. That is a huge part of it. So you have to keep track of what they're eating and drinking when they're swimming for that long. So there's lots of logs. There's just lots of data, lots of numbers.
So you're not
But
just observing, you're actually part of the feeding process.
very active, yes. And it might be
Okay.
different on some other long swims.
Okay.
But for the ones that I've done, I've managed all of that. There have been some other people in the boat helping as well. I'm not doing it by myself, but
Um,
for the most part, it's managing it. Mhm.
did you see the movie Naiad, the Netflix
Yeah.
movie?
Yes,
And
yeah.
there's some controversy around whether her observers were actually accurate and, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that movie?
yeah, yeah. Oh,
And
that
the
just
swim and the
yeah,
swim.
that just gave me the goosebumps because it is quite a responsibility. The observers, have to be you have to be on your game, and I think what she did was next level. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, regardless, I mean, let's say I think she did the whole thing. That's just me.
sure,
I think she
sure.
did it. But let's
Mhm,
say she got on the boat to go to the bathroom or something. Yeah,
mhm.
okay. But she still did it just
Yeah,
doesn't seem, I mean, she's not going to get on the boat to go to the bathroom because we all know the ocean is a great place to do that. But I
right.
think that whatever, if the boat stopped or slowed down or she touched it, it still doesn't take
Mhm,
away from the type of swimmer that she was. And the fact that she went after that thing 4 times, I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
So you're obviously balancing a lot. You're a mom of three. You are a world, champion triathlete. You're world championship. You didn't win the world
mhm.
champions. You won,
No, not even
but
close.
you went.
Yes.
And you're now this coach. You're very successful. What would you say some of the practices, your rituals, your routines that make you successful? Anything that you do?
Mhm. Mm. I do have a mindfulness practice. I started that about 10 years ago, and it's ebbed and flowed. but in the past year alone, I've gone on 2 7-day silent retreats. As much as I love people so much, but I also love and I find joy and in silence as well. So I'm
Wow,
open.
wow. We've gotta hear about a 7-day silent retreat. I mean, I know everybody's like, "Stop, Kelly, don't let her go."
Oh,
What in the world? How is I mean, give what's it like? Give a little summary on that because I am just
well, my
intrigued.
first one a year ago, it was scary. I think that's why I did it. I love challenges. I don't know if I love challenges.
You do,
Okay,
Chestnut,
I
yeah.
did. Okay.
Own that one.
Okay, I'll take it. I like challenges. And it was something that did scare me, but I was so curious about what happens when you don't talk for 7 days to other people. What happens everything I do with athletics and coaching, everything's here on the outside. It's the external, it's the physical. I am also equally very curious about the internal conversations that we have with ourselves, myself included. And I wanted to see where my brain would go in 7 days on it when left to its own devices. And it was
Wait,
some
set up the rules of it, where you were, what the environment was, like, it's drop your cell phone, here's your
oh yeah.
your cell block, or what? I
Yeah.
mean, what is it?
Kind of a dorm room.
It was a dorm room? Did you just stay
Like,
in the dorm
it's
room?
not at their dorm room like. It's not at a university, it's at I go to a retreat center in California called Spirit Rock. It's based on the insight meditation, lineage of meditation, and so, yeah, I turn in your cell phone, have a dorm room, and there's a schedule. So you wake up, it's a schedule every 45 minutes, you're doing something different. You're either doing a sitting meditation, a walking meditation, which really I'm bad at. I need to improve my walking meditation because the walk is very slow and I move fast. And so it's back and forth between different types of meditations. And then there's some talks. The teachers do talk, and we listen. There's trails there. So I would go on a trail run every day as a moving meditation for me. Sometimes I would stay in the trails a little bit too long and miss some of the sessions. But that's okay too.
Did
That's
you
just where
journal? Did you have anything?
no, they recommend no journaling, no reading. They really just want a full just wipe out of
How
everything.
how did your mind respond to that?
After the first 2 days of my first retreat, I wanted to leave. I was a wreck. I was crying. I don't like the word hate, but I hated it. And that being said, I kind of like in sports, I'm not a quitter. So I was like, dang it, you're not leaving because I could walk out the gate. Nobody's making me stay there. I could have left any time, but I was like, heck no, I'm doing this. And this is why I'm here. And then after the third, fourth day, everything starts to kind of my mind was too loud. When for me, by not talking, the silence created noise in my head. And I think this is a common practice. I've talked with others, I've read about it. The mind gets very, very loud. And so I'd never had to deal with that before. What do I do with that? What do I do with all that noise? And it's actually very beautiful when you get to a point where I figured out what to do with it.
What do you do with
And
it?
you let it go.
And you just let it float by like clouds?
Yeah, you let it go.
What happens? And then
Big
what
deal.
happens?
You just let it go. You find something, you go on a walk or you sit or and so breathing is really helpful for me personally. Sometimes sounds would help going outside. I'd always have to go outside and sit on a bench and listen to the birds or the wind or whatever sounds, breath or sounds or where I return to usually. And so by the fifth, sixth day, then I didn't wanna leave. I was like, "No, I don't wanna go back to the real world." And so that's why I signed up for a second one 9 months later and went back.
For another 7 days?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Who
The
knew that we were that here I think I'm gonna be talking to this, endurance triathlete about the tough life she did as an athlete, and now we're talking about, I mean, this is a new frontier for us people that like challenges, which you do, I do. Maria, my former co-host, and my sister-in-law, who's a world-class endurance cyclist, she's got a book out called Do Tough. And
Uh-huh,
so
uh-huh,
I don't think either of us have ever done this 7-day silent. One day, usually on the first day of the year, I do a silent day with
uh-huh.
nothing, with
Oh,
no,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
but yeah,
Mhm.
but I it's such an interesting new frontier
It's
that,
fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. I agree with you.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now when you re-entered life,
Mhm.
how was that? Was it like an anxiety feeling of, oh no, I got to check my cell phone pings and noise were you were you desensitized or were you oversensitive to things when you returned?
Yeah, I really didn't know what to expect. When I got my phone back after 7 days, yeah, I didn't even turn it on. I didn't care. And then by the time I got to the airport, I turned it on and when I was ready, but I didn't turn it on immediately. And even when after this was interesting, after I gave the phone away for the first 2, 3 days, I was putting my hand in my pocket constantly, grabbing grabbing for it, and it wasn't there. And so to go from that to getting it back and really not being that interested in it, and I mean, I use my phone all day, every day now. I mean, I'm just a normal person, I think. I was very concerned about going straight to the airport, San Francisco airport. I've never stood in the line, all the lines, and felt so fine about it. I just nothing I well, and there was I mean, we all know airports are just loud and crazy and busy and people are getting all these different places, and I felt like it was all happening around me. It didn't and I was very concerned about how, like, it was that I would be overstimulated, I wouldn't know how to react, and it was quite peaceful, and I think that's something that I still to this day, I try to do, and I don't do it, probably very well half the time, but there are moments where there's been a grocery store line, at a red light, at an airport when I travel, to just try to return to centering on breath or just being present and relaxed and letting everything happen around me.
Wow, this has been so interesting and valuable. My gosh. So, would you say overall that silence has affected your life positively?
I mean, it's changed my life. Absolutely. It has completely changed my life. And I am still a work in progress. I do not know. It's a practice, right? Kind of like what we do with sport or anything else. And there's perfection is not the goal. It won't happen. Well, and so, and I also think I think it's helped me become a better coach. I think it's helped me become a better athlete, actually. I think it doesn't take the edge off to have some presence and awareness by any means. If anything, it helps me race better.
Were you before you did this? I mean, did you do it? Have you suffered from anxiety or panic attacks or anything? So what
Uh,
like brought you there to that fix?
all of the above. I have diagnosed depression and anxiety, and it has helped me any more than anything in my whole life. Yeah. Yeah. And
Wow.
again, it's still a work in progress. Some days are
Yeah.
still messy. Some days are very messy. And sometimes are most days, some days, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we dove deep on this, but I that is just so interesting. And that's what I love about interviewing all different kinds of champions. Like everyone has some incredible gem in them when I get them under the on the mic here. And it's just that's really cool. So is there another retreat in your future? Your 7-day one?
Yes, I don't have it planned. It's actually on my screen on my computer right now. There's a
Okay.
couple that I will definitely be going back before the end of the year.
Now,
Mhm.
is that
Yes.
something that one could do with a friend or you don't recommend that?
You can. I would recommend it though. I recommend going solo. Get uncomfortable and it doesn't have to be a 7 day silent retreat. I am 0 to 100 on everything. Even that being said, I did do a 1 day silent retreat where I lived many, many years ago. And so you could even do a 1 day retreat. You could do 1 minute of silence and see how it feels. I mean, you don't, there's so many different ways to do it. There's actually a 30-day retreat I'm eyeing that's in my future
Oh
as
my
well.
gosh. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool. Well, I know Do Hard Things, not Do
Mhm.
Tough. So Do Tough is Maria Parker's book. Do Hard Things is Steve Magnus's book, which is
I
one of my
love him.
favorite books. I know. I
I,
love Steve Magnus. I'm
I
trying to get
do
him on the
too.
show. Steve, if you're listening, please come on and talk to me. But
Yeah.
so one of the articles or one of the research studies that he refers to in his book is that study where they put people in a room and they ask them to just be alone for 15 minutes
Mhm.
without their phones or anything. And people are
Mhm.
so unfamiliar with that feeling that they said
Mhm.
if you want to have something to do, the only thing you can do is either sit here and be quiet with your thoughts, or
Mhm.
you can hit this button and it'll give you a small shock.
Oh,
And
yes.
it's a painful shock.
Yes.
And that it was just 15 minutes, and there were people that hit that button. I'm gonna either it was either I was 167 times in 15 minutes.
Oh gosh.
That they
Uh,
would rather be some people would rather be shocked and
yes.
painfully hurt than to spend 15 minutes with their own thoughts.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And we're with ourselves 24/7. So we might as well learn to kind of like ourselves a little bit,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. So that is such so the question that started that off was,
Yeah.
are there any
I
routines,
forgot.
rituals, things? How about, Jennifer, things that normal people can do? Anything that we normal people can do that might be help anything you do that normal people do that would help that has helped your success?
Oh, well, and then I'll stop with it. Breathing techniques, and I just did this with an athlete last week. I mean, there's so many different ways to breathe, right? Or to calm the breath and to get the parasympathetic system revved up or slowed down. So box breathing and number counting. I did one just with an athlete last week where you take a really big deep breath in, and then you take a second deep breath in, and then you let it out. That's it. That's just in the past couple of weeks, that's my favorite go-to.
Yeah,
And
I
then
love box breathing.
yeah, and then
All breathing
all
is
breathing. Yeah, yeah, and there's so many different techniques. As far as routines, I love coffee. I drink coffee a lot, unapologetically.
well, you are from Washington State, right? Up there, coffee is
Yeah,
very
yeah,
nice. Yeah.
yes, yeah, lots of coffee. What else do I do? I read. I like to read. I read at night before I go to bed. I don't do Yeah, I do screens sometimes. I try not to, but I'm human. So I do. Sometimes I'm on my phone and I'm like, nope, put it away. I'm an avid reader. So another something else that I like to do to wind down at the end of the day.
Nice, nice. All right. That is such great stuff. Now, last question before we go to our speed
Hmm.
round of questions or our sprint around, just so people will get to know you a little better.
Hmm.
Is there
Yeah.
anything that I haven't asked you that you want to share with our listeners?
Hmm. I think just as far as living an active, healthy lifestyle, to just remain curious. And it's okay to step out of your comfort zone and do things that feel different. One quick example, I had an athlete who was just starting out with me. He really didn't know how to swim. We started with him blowing bubbles in my backyard pool, like literally blowing bubbles, like a toddler swim lesson. 5 years later, he's in the world championship. So,
That's
for both the half Ironman and the full Ironman, he qualified for both by starting with blowing bubbles and doing bombs up and down. And so I think to give yourself a break and meet yourself where you're at, it is so important. And it might even sound cliche, but it's easier said than done. I totally realize that myself. But really start where you're at and go from there.
I love that. I love that. Okay. Are you ready for some questions? Let's see
Yes.
here. Okay. What's your favorite sandwich?
Garbanzo beans. Think of a tuna fish sandwich, for example, but mashed garbanzo beans.
What do you own that you should throw out?
Too many clothes.
Okay. Scariest animal?
A badger.
Oh, yeah. Badgers. What celebrity would you most like to meet?
Matthew McConaughey.
All right. What is the hardest swimming event in the pool? You may not know this personally, but you have an idea if you've watched the Olympics.
Anything with butterfly.
Yep. I'm right there with you. Favorite movie?
Uh, don't really watch movies.
Wow. Okay. That's a good answer. Favorite smell?
Not vanilla.
Do you make your bed every morning?
I do. Yes,
Kickboard or no kickboard?
definitely.
If you had to listen to one song for the rest of your life, what might it be?
Taylor Swift. Anything by her.
Okay. Window or aisle?
Definitely aisle.
Describe your life in 5 words.
Mm. Full, connected, happy, messy, and full of sunshine.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, last question. What word comes to mind when you are swimming in the water?
Peace.
Peace. Awesome. Jennifer, thank you so much. This has been so wonderful to chat with you. Really, really appreciate your time and wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.